The surveillance cameras at Express Mart Shell Station on Park Lane Road in Columbia, South Carolina, captured everything. On the evening of May 28, 2023, at around 8 p.m., a 14-year-old boy walked through the front door of the convenience store. His name was Cyrus Carmack-Belton. As he entered, he was told by store staff to drop his backpack at the entrance. He did so without any argument, leaving it by the door, and walked inside. Cyrus moved through the store, browsing the shelves, checking what was available. He walked to the refrigerator section, opened the door, and took out 4 bottles of water. He looked at them. Then, one by one, he put every single one of them back. He returned them to the exact shelf where he had found them. With both hands in his hoodie pockets, Cyrus walked away from the refrigerator. The store owner's wife, Alice Chow, had been watching him. She approached him and asked directly whether he had taken any water. Cyrus told her he did not have anything in his pockets. The interaction was brief and tense, but Cyrus did not raise his voice or become aggressive. He walked to the entrance, picked up his backpack, and left the store. What should have ended there did not. The store owner, 58-year-old Rick Chow, and his son, Andy Chow, ran out of the store after Cyrus. The chase had begun. Cyrus ran. He ran away from the store, away from the 2 men chasing him, moving through a nearby apartment complex area. Then he tripped and fell. He got back up, still trying to get away. He was on his feet again, stumbling forward, trying to flee. Then a gunshot rang out. Cyrus fell. A group of people sitting in a nearby car witnessed what had just happened. They saw Cyrus fall, and they rushed over to help. A bystander was already performing CPR on the boy by the time paramedics arrived to take over. Police were called to the scene. When investigators and emergency personnel arrived, they found something that would become central to the case. Near Cyrus's body, a gun was recovered. But something important was not there, not a single water bottle. The thing Rick Chow had suspected the boy of stealing was nowhere to be found, because Cyrus had put the bottles back. Cyrus was taken to the hospital. He had been shot once, in his right lower back. The bullet had traveled through his body and caused a hemorrhage with damage to his heart. He died from that single gunshot wound. Rick Chow's explanation for firing his weapon was that just before he pulled the trigger, his son Andy had said that Cyrus had a gun. That was the moment, Chow claimed, that caused him to shoot. He told police he believed his son was in danger. Rick Chow was arrested. He was charged with murder. He was remanded to jail pending a bail hearing. But the investigation was only beginning, and what investigators would uncover about what truly happened that night and about the man who pulled the trigger would keep this case in the headlines for years. Before we go any further, please take a second to like this video and also subscribe to the channel. Your support motivates us and also helps the channel grow. Cyrus was a student at Summit Parkway Middle School in Columbia. His teachers in school described him as intelligent, humorous, quick-witted, and well-liked by his classmates. He was known for asking questions beyond the scope of whatever was being discussed, always seeking to truly understand things rather than simply accept what he was told. He had conversations with faculty and staff about his dreams, goals, and aspirations. He had just been promoted and was preparing to start high school in the fall. His school's statement described him as having an infectious smile and a tenacious spirit. He dreamed of becoming a tattoo artist and opening his own shop one day. He was 14 years old. He was, in every sense of the word, a child. His family, devastated by his loss, was represented by attorney Todd Rutherford, who knew the family well. Rutherford said that when Cyrus's mother sent him a picture of her son, he had to do a double take because the boy looked so much like his own child. He described what happened to Cyrus as something the black community had experienced for generations, being racially profiled and shot down in the street. Cyrus was laid to rest on June 3, 2023. Rick Chow was a 58-year-old Asian American man who owned and operated the Express Mart Shell station with his family. But he was not someone with a clean record when it came to confrontations with people he suspected of shoplifting. In fact, this was not the first time he had opened fire on someone at his store. It was the third. On May 4, 2015, Chow confronted a woman he believed had stolen 2 cases of beer and a package of boiled peanuts. The altercation spilled into the parking lot. As the woman and a man with her attempted to drive away, Chow pulled out his handgun and fired approximately 6 shots at their vehicle. No one was injured. Deputies responded but could not locate the woman and the man. The incident was investigated, but Chow was not charged because authorities determined he had not been the instigator. On October 12, 2018, Chow confronted a man named Alexis Aguilera, whom he believed had taken a can of Easy-Off oven cleaner without paying. Chow followed him out of the store. A confrontation occurred, during which Chow was struck in the face. Chow then pulled out his firearm and fired 2 shots at Aguilera as he fled. Aguilera was shot once in the leg. He returned to the scene when police arrived, was taken to the hospital for treatment, and then taken into custody. He later pleaded guilty to a shoplifting charge and was sentenced to 30 days or a small fine. Again, Chow was not charged with any crime. In the years before the shooting of Cyrus, the Richland County Sheriff's Department had received hundreds of calls to the Express Mart store, covering everything from assaults and larcenies to shoplifting, motor vehicle theft, vandalism, robbery, and burglary. The store had a long and troubled history of incidents, but it was the shooting of a 14-year-old child over water bottles he never took that finally brought criminal charges. News of what had happened spread quickly through Columbia and the wider community. The anger that followed was immediate and intense. On Monday, the day after the shooting, a crowd gathered at the Express Mart Shell station to protest. The initial protest was peaceful, but after dark, the situation changed. Windows were smashed. People broke into the store and took merchandise off the shelves. Richland County Sheriff Leon Lott described what happened as looting and said his department planned to charge those involved. In the aftermath, the entire gas station was placed behind yellow crime scene tape. Crushed water bottles littered the parking lot, placed there in protest and remembrance of Cyrus. Graffiti covered the walls of the building, most of it reading either the boy's name, Cyrus, or his age, 14. Signs appeared on the door of the store. One read, "Water or life," which means more. Another read, "Close it down." The Richland County Coroner, Nida Rutherford, addressed the gathered crowd near the gas pumps. She asked them to be peaceful, explaining that the family did not need any more trauma connected to his death. She told the crowd through tears that she had a son the same age as Cyrus. She said Cyrus could have been any of their children. She said she was just tired of seeing young black men killed. Because the situation remained tense, the sheriff's department deployed deputies to watch over the Express Mart property. Richland County Sheriff Leon Lott was direct in his assessment of the shooting from the very beginning. He said the evidence was clear. Cyrus had not shoplifted anything. The video footage showed him picking up 4 water bottles and then putting every single one of them back. He was off the property and running away when he was killed. The sheriff also addressed what the shooting said about self-defense under South Carolina law, which requires that the shooter not instigate the incident, genuinely believe they are in imminent danger, and have no way to avoid the danger. Shooting someone in the back while they are running away from you, the sheriff stated plainly, does not meet that standard. He said it the same way police officers themselves are held to that standard. You do not shoot someone in the back who is not a threat to you. The coroner, Nida Rutherford, confirmed that the single bullet entered through Cyrus's right lower back, consistent with the boy running away from his shooter. She classified the death as a homicide. She noted there was no evidence of any physical altercation before Cyrus ran out of the store, and the only injuries on his body were an abrasion from falling during the chase and the gunshot wound. Investigators also confirmed that while a gun was found near Cyrus's body after the shooting, there was no evidence he had ever pointed it at Rick Chow or his son Andy. The gun was there, but no one other than members of the Chow family testified that it had been pointed at anyone. Chow appeared in court and was ordered held in jail. His request for bail was denied. He was charged with murder. In July 2023, investigators obtained search warrants for Chow's home and business. They recovered personal laptops containing banking information. The prosecution said they needed this evidence to search for store policies regarding shoplifting. However, Chow's defense team challenged the warrants, and in a significant legal development, the judge granted a motion to dismiss the evidence collected during those searches. He ruled that the warrants lacked probable cause and violated Chow's constitutional rights. The laptops and related information were thrown out. The family's attorney said he did not believe this would significantly impact the case, given that the murder charge was based on clear physical evidence, witness testimony, and surveillance video, not the contents of a computer. The trial of Rick Chow began at the Richland County Courthouse in Columbia, South Carolina, in May 2026, exactly 3 years after Cyrus was killed. Jurors saw the surveillance footage from multiple camera angles, watching Cyrus pick up and then return the 4 bottles of water, watching the confrontation with Alice and Andy Chow inside the store, while Cyrus stood with his hands in his hoodie pockets, and watching the sequence of events that led to the chase. The prosecution was clear in its argument. Chow and his son escalated the situation entirely on their own, chasing Cyrus more than 130 yards from the store before the fatal shot was fired. The prosecution acknowledged that Cyrus did have a 9mm pistol with a laser on him that evening, but argued the gun fell to the ground during the chase, and that Cyrus never threatened anyone with it. Multiple witnesses testified that they did not see anything in Cyrus's hands during the foot chase and did not see him point a gun at anyone. Prosecutors placed a bottle of water on the table in front of the jury during closing arguments, asking them to consider whether a human life was worth less than that. The defense argued that Rick Chow fired only because Andy Chow told him Cyrus had pointed a gun at him, and that a father seeing a gun pointed at his son had the right and the duty to act. The defense also introduced a social media photograph of Cyrus holding the same gun found near his body, taken the day before the shooting. The prosecution objected to the relevance of this photograph, but the judge allowed it into evidence. A witness named Devontae Bryant testified for the state. He described watching Cyrus fall during the chase, get back up, stumble again, and take a step or two before the shot was fired. He said he did not see anything in Cyrus's hands at the moment of the shooting. The defense challenged his account on cross-examination, pointing to inconsistencies between what he had said to law enforcement before and what he was saying in court. On May 28, 2026, exactly 3 years to the day after Cyrus was killed, the jury heard closing arguments. Then they deliberated. The jury returned a verdict of not guilty. When the verdict was read in the courtroom, sobs and cries of distress could be heard from the Carmack-Belton family seated in the gallery. Rick Chow sat silently, then slowly bowed his head onto his interlocked hands. The defense attorney said they were pleased with the verdict, but expressed sorrow for the Carmack-Belton family. He added that a 14-year-old child should not have been roaming the streets with a loaded semi-automatic pistol. Cyrus's family did not speak to reporters outside the court, but they released a statement that cut to the heart of what the verdict meant to them. They said the jury had watched their 14-year-old boy run away from two grown men on video, knew one of those men had shot him in the back, and still said no one was to blame. They stated that they were heartbroken and that they did not accept the verdict. They said Cyrus had stolen nothing. He was a child and he was running for his life. Their son mattered. The family drew a direct connection between the case and a longer history of violence against Black people in America, saying that Black families had stood in the same place too many times, burying their children and then being told that the law saw nothing. The family announced they were taking the fight to civil court, having already filed a civil lawsuit against Rick Chow in Richland County, which had been paused during the criminal trial. They stated they would not rest until their son's life was given the dignity the criminal verdict had denied him. The shooting of Cyrus Carmack-Belton and the acquittal that followed added his name to a long list of cases that have forced America to confront difficult questions about race, self-defense law, the rights of store owners, the safety of Black children in public spaces, and what it truly means for justice to be served. Cyrus was 14 years old. He had put the water back. He was running away. He was almost home. Drop a comment below. Do you think justice was served in this case? What does this verdict mean for communities across America? We want to hear your thoughts. If you liked this video, don't forget to subscribe for more.